Hey, everybody. Welcome to a podcast. We're trying to figure out the name of this thing. We're thinking Mount Bierstadt podcast. How's that?
That works.
That's what it is. That's what you got today. And so we're going to chat about our experience, why we did this, how we trained for it, and maybe just offer some nice little tidbits if someone's wanting to do it kind of deal. But you were saying some nice things, Amy, because it's not just about hiking Mount Bierstadt. It's almost just about life in general, that we have this opportunity to, at times, challenge ourselves, because we were just chatting about that a little bit earlier. So maybe we chat a little bit about why did we do this? Who wanted to do this?
It was Eric's idea.
It might have been me.
I know I did.
Well, when you found out that, okay, hey, I'm asking, let's climb Mount Bierstadt, what did you first think about?
Well, I thought, a hiking opportunity. Awesome. I'm going to take it.
Well, and you're an outdoorsy person, so
right.
yes.
And I like to hike, and it was a great opportunity to
We should probably invite, Sherry Milnamow
Right.
is here with us, and so we're
yes.
super grateful. We've known you for maybe since ever,
Long time.
07, 06, I don't know. It's been a
like
while.
that. It's been a long time.
So, yes.
Yeah. Very cool.
And so that's
And
why you're here. But you also hiked with us. We had a group of us.
Yes,
that
we
were
had
there.
a group of
Yeah.
us.
It was a
How
great
many
group.
total?
I think there was 14.
Yep.
Because we were in a VRBO, and it was all about this hike, right?
It was.
And we had our training plan. We were thinking it was 3 months prior that we all thought we should ramp up from our normal state to prepare for the vertical challenges of Mount Bierstadt. Because in Indiana we get we're at 820 feet. That doesn't prepare you for climbing Mount Bierstadt, and we have a lot of oxygen here, which
Mixed.
we didn't have there. So what did our training plan really look like? What were we? I know what I was doing, but you were in Michigan.
I spent a lot of time in Michigan, so during that time I was walking a lot, so I felt like I had that.
Yeah.
And then the stamina piece of it.
Yep.
So it was going all day long, just doing different things. So I think that makes a big difference.
I think that was it. Like having that, we were really encouraging. You sent out a nice
said
little template to people.
You got to move 3 days a week. There was like base movement during at least 30 to 45 minutes of cardio. Cardio was our mission. Like target heart rate, 2 times during the week. And then on the weekend, we said initially it was 30 minutes, but then we upped that to an hour. And then that eventually over, week to week, it was some point 2 hours. And I think we got up to 3 hours. Right? It was our max. And we all got together. That was kind of fun. Right.
And then doing stairs and...
Well, exactly. So then we started going to parking garages, and we found out in downtown Fishers, there's 5 parking garages within a 2-block area. I had no idea they were in there. But
it was great training.
They're there. And so we would just go up and down. So explain what those look like.
Well, that was our way of having mountains in Indiana, right?
Right.
Because we don't have hills here. Well, we did go once to Bloomington.
Right.
To some
That's
hills.
right. We went to
Brown County.
Michelle's.
Or Brown County. That's
Right.
right. We did do that once.
Yeah.
But,
Gorgeous.
yeah, I think that was, honestly, I think that was the best training for me, to really at least have my legs and knees and everything be as prepared as they could, was those up and down the steps and up and down the steps.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know, did you do those at all with us?
I did a few of the stairs.
Yeah,
with
I
you.
thought we did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But even doing the stairs and doing the Brown County thing, putting the backpack on is what I noticed people were saying is, oh, this backpack isn't going to work. I got to get a new one. So it was nice having the gear on as you're training to see, what fits and what didn't.
What your comfort
So
is.
what the
Because the
comfort
last thing you want to do is go, what did it take us? 4.5, 5 hours, maybe, from start to finish? You don't want to get halfway into your climb and say, this doesn't feel right.
Something's rubbing. This is rubbing my
It's the last
shoulder.
thing you need is that distraction. So that is true. It is good that we were acting like we were climbing, right?
Right, exactly.
Like we knew we all had a water bladder. I think we did 3 liters of water in training because that's what we took on the
And it was a
hike.
day hike, so we didn't have a lot in our bag. Snacks,
Right.
And the electrolytes.
electrolytes.
Yep. We were
I was trying
planning
different
because we did it late August, right? And surprisingly, we knew that it could be anywhere from like 30 degrees, I think, to like 50 degrees. So it was like a 20-degree So the nice thing about the bag is we could shed stuff, layers, because I did.
Yeah.
I think at one point I was down to just a long sleeve shirt as I started heating up.
Right.
So yeah, the preparation, give yourself 3 months, right? And start moving the body. If you're from Indiana. But I think, and you were saying too, Sherry, that, maybe there was even some more strength training for the knees.
Correct.
I think that's
that
accurate.
you could have done, you mean? That we could have added in, or besides just
because we're laughing
stairs?
because here in a minute
Right.
we're going to go through the routes, and when you get to the top, you're not done.
Correct. Huh?
You gotta,
I guess too.
gotta
You
get
should
back
tell
down.
everybody how. So this is a 14,000 plus foot.
That's
mountain.
true.
Right.
It was 14,065. I think you'll see 62,
Right.
65, whatever. It was a 2,700 foot gain, and I think it was 7.5 miles, 7.8 miles anyway, round trip. So up
Right.
and back.
Right.
I think those are the statistics on it, something
Right.
like that. And so that's what
And
we
then
were.
the boulders and the
well,
rocks.
yes, there
and
are
going across
large
the river
rocks that you have to climb over.
and all the other fun things
About that.
that you had to
But
maneuver.
and so we got up super early. Our goal was to be on the trailhead before 6, and I think we did a pretty good job.
Oh yeah.
Right, we got there. I think we got the last parking spot at 5:45.
Yeah.
The last parking spot, which was nice, was next to the bathroom, which is nice to hit before you go hike for
Super
5
helpful.
hours.
Super helpful.
And so then we took off, and remember initially out of the gate, it was you actually go down into that valley. Down to the stream was downhill, but it was kind of cool. Remember the wood?
And then the
wood.
sunrise.
It was very
Oh, my
open
God.
too. I was shocked
Sunrise
that it
was
was
breathtaking.
it was so open,
Wide open,
wide
the whole
open
time.
field at the and that
And that
trail.
little lake over to the side, and the moose crossing
So
the
yes,
lake. That
when we
was
first
Oh,
left.
was there
fun
a?
surprise.
There was
There were
some
two
moose or
yeah,
something.
There were a
Yeah, that
couple
was
Very
of them.
large animal that we were hoping wasn't going to chase us, but it didn't. And so we finally got to the stream, and then special challenge, right? Then we had to go up 50 yards to cross over
Right.
safely. And then then we started climbing. And remember initially that climb up the green area, switch back, and it's like, okay, I'm starting to get winded,
A little bit. Yeah.
right? A little bit. And then we got up to the plateau. It's like, and now I've hiked it before, so I'm like, okay, we're not even close to hiking yet. And I remember some people are like, wow, that's intense. I'm like, oh no, you're going to be hurting. And then, but you're right. You can see the whole time. Like we could see, oh, there it is. It's just right there.
All right.
But
And the people that you could see on the trail were like tiny little
yeah.
dots. So that was kind of your perspective. Like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
it's
it's farther
way
away
out
than
there.
it looks.
Yeah.
And then so we got, this was initially from that first plateau, and we kind of got up and out of the greenery stuff, and it was just rock, right?
Right.
And it was a long run, but it was steady and a nice slope.
Right.
And then it started to kind of go up, like
Right.
like a
Much
like
more
a lot.
intense. Yeah, a lot steeper.
And that's when you got to start. I know we were doing walk for like a couple minutes, 5 minutes, and then take a 30-second break. And I think that was helpful. What did you guys think about those little breaks?
Huge.
Yeah, they were hugely helpful. And also breathing out of your nose and not your mouth. That was really helpful too. You're just taking deep breaths to reset, and then really concentrating on that nose breathing.
Yeah, I like that because if
That was
you're
helpful.
if you're moving at a rate to where you can breathe through the nose, you're kind of conserving your energy a
That
little
helped.
bit.
Well, I think too, from being from Indiana, like you said, we are at no elevation, and then we flew in, and we only had one night, one kind of half day and night to even acclimate. So you can't acclimate.
No.
And so again, to us, like that, you're short of breath just in general, being up there. I mean, just being in
Right.
Colorado. And then usually it takes a week or two for somebody to acclimate and adjust. Otherwise, your oxygen is naturally just lower.
Right.
That's just a physiological thing. So
I think
were
one key we did not drink the night before.
Correct.
hydrated very well.
A lot of hydration,
Right.
no
And
drinking.
Carb loading the
Alcohol.
night before.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then we
that's good.
had a good dinner. So I think that's all good stuff.
And then on that plateau part that you were talking about, that was about the point where I was like, wow, I'm really dragging here a little bit. But it was still cold. So the electrolyte came in handy there. But I wasn't thinking about electrolytes because it was cold. In my mind, the electrolytes are when you're hot. But after I took it, it was like hugely helpful, that little burst of energy.
Thank you for saying that, because
that was
we
helpful.
had a tiny little packet of, was it 16 ounces or 32 ounces? That little bitty sack of, and we put our
32.
electrolyte tablets in it, and we just had it handy. And about right there is where I just drank it all like super fast. And I think on the plateau, I think I grabbed a snack bar, Cliff Bar,
right?
And then maybe one more time a little later, and that was it to get to the top.
Well, I don't think people realize, like you said, you're not sweating and hot, like, so you don't get that signal that I could be getting dehydrated.
Right.
And even just drinking water alone, you're not getting the electrolytes that you need. So it can almost be more of a problem if you are just drinking water, not getting those electrolytes. And symptoms, I mean, people were saying, I feel a little lightheaded, or I feel a little out of it, and it was electrolytes and oxygen. I took an oximeter this
we
time.
had
I've
people
never
with
done
purple
that.
lips.
And we had people's oxygen was down around 80. It was like, what? And even when
disoriented.
it was wild. So that was a big, a little bit scary, but everyone was fine, but it was, in the future, I think I would carry. We had a little canister of oxygen.
We were joking.
That
It's like,
was
well,
so
we'll never
cool.
use this.
Yeah, and it was down at the car.
But for those that their lips were purple, it made sense to do.
When we got down, I think we all needed it. Honestly, everybody's oxygen was low. It's just, except for our niece who lives in Colorado.
Right.
So,
Who was in shorts.
Who was in shorts, that's right. But the rest
Love
of
you,
us
Carly.
definitely needed oxygen. So those canisters, there's like 200 puffs of oxygen in these
it was
canisters.
smart.
It was so cool. And it's small. Like you can carry it in your backpack.
Yeah.
So next time, or those that are planning this, I would probably carry that
Wouldn't hurt.
on
Yeah,
the
I think,
trail.
the 20-year-old group was definitely cranking out a lot quicker than we were, for sure.
Right.
So, and that's okay. But, we're in our 50s, wisdom units, a whole crew of us, right, that were doing it. So, so then we got up this plateau, and then it started getting steep, and then we got to this boulder field. And that's just fun. So when you get to the boulder field, you're done. I mean, it's just distracting. It's fun. I don't even think I felt like I was winded at one point there. But you're literally climbing over rocks.
I know, that was interesting.
I was like energized by it. All of a sudden, it was
and we're
like,
talking
Exactly.
humongous rocks. I mean, how big were these?
It was like God taking a bunch of VW bugs and just throwing them and say, get yourself
Climb over
from here
these."
to there.
right?
They were huge. I mean, you
They're
think rocks.
massive.
These are boulders, big boulders that you have to go
But they were
up
fun.
for a while.
Like if you like rocks,
It's playful.
it was fun.
Yeah, it's like
how
when
many
you're a kid.
dogs? How many dogs were popping and
So
hopping
many dogs,
up and? I mean, the one dog was this tall. I'm like, now wait a minute, how's that dog getting? And they just pop right up.
Yeah, that was shocking how many
bizarre.
people took their dogs with them.
was a
But it was
bunch.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
So then we get to the top and then there's the celebration. It's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
It's emotional.
We had a libation
hugely
up there,
emotional,
which is, I think, critical if you're doing this for the first time. Take something. Could be a,
Celebratory.
One
little,
little sip.
get a
Little shot
beer
or
can
something.
or your flask, unless you're absolutely opposed to libation. That's a must. Don't forget that.
It is
So that
funny
was
how many
kinda
people
fun.
up there
Yeah.
were
Right,
like
yeah.
You got to have a little
toasting,
something.
or at least having a little
Celebrate.
Yeah.
And we had the sign with the altitude and all that on
Yeah,
there.
that was cool.
It was pretty cool.
That was cool. And it was not very wide. They didn't know what to expect.
No,
Right? It's not very wide.
No.
No.
And you'd think, especially if you were afraid of heights or something, you'd be like, but I didn't feel scared up there at all,
Yeah.
which surprised me.
It was.
Like I thought
I
I
mean,
would,
I
but I
think it was exhilarating because it was. It was challenging. We've done several marathons, and we always say this is as hard as any marathon we've ever done.
Right.
Um,
And you don't want to tell your buddies that because they won't do it.
And there were a lot of people up there too at the same time.
there
So
was.
there's not a lot of room to like move around.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
There was the one side that had some exposure. I mean, if you fell off that far south side, you're going to fall pretty far.
Yeah.
It was probably 500 feet or something. So you got to be careful.
Yes.
But you're, for the most part, going to be just fine.
Yeah,
And then there's the comeback. So then you're like, okay, I'm done. And you're really not. So let's talk about getting back down. For anyone listening.
Well, I would say also on the way up and on the way down, like you start out with a group, right? But everybody's at a different pace. And so even though we started out as a group, we ended up all at different spaces.
We accordioned.
We did.
We did.
But I think that's okay because I think at some point you figure, like I wanted to stay with a group of people, but I was like, I can't keep up with them. And I was like, that's okay. I'll just do my own thing. And it worked out great for me. And I think that's what everybody kind of figured out along the way.
Well, and you were saying earlier, sometimes it can become spiritual.
Right.
Like the journey. I think you almost want that in this, that it's not just another walk on a Tuesday, that it challenges us to go deeper within, and in that, stretch ourselves a little out of a comfort zone, so that when we get back, it's like, okay, life doesn't have to be exactly perfect.
Right.
And I think we said this the whole time, that some of the people that signed up to, we were like, the point and the goal is not to get to the top.
Thank you.
Right.
It's the journey, right? It's not the destination. And I think it's such a good lesson in life in general.
Right.
And it's hard because I think it's humbling when you have to change your pace, or you have to stop and take a break, or you have to say, I don't think I feel well, or whatever, or maybe I should turn back. And we did. We had variations of all of that in our group.
Right.
And
where am I going to go to the bathroom?
And some that we had to, exactly.
Well, you're going to go right over there, and everybody's going to watch you. And that's what's going to happen.
There's no hiding. Yeah.
But it is, I think the cool thing was that in the end, everybody's path and distance was different, but everyone had just this bonding and really cool experience. And so I think, our goal is to be able to talk to everybody that's done this and share their experience. And I don't know if you want to share all this, but I know, prior to this, years prior, you've had your own physical and health challenges. And I think that's where even, I think it was like such a, I don't know.
I know,
like
I got a little teary-eyed when you were
such a,
kind of talking about that.
Well, I wasn't really thinking about it, right? I mean, the whole trip I never thought about it. And I got to that flat space that we were talking about earlier, and there was a young lady there sitting, and I don't know why at that moment it just dawned on me that it was about 10 years prior to this that I had done something to my back, and I was having a hard time walking. I mean, I was in pain a lot of times, and like a couple of times I'd have to be in one of those like those chairs or whatever to get around in the stores or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, here I am this many years later, and I'm climbing the mountain. Like, how does that happen?
I get goosebumps. I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because who knows? It could have gone a different way, but it didn't. And so, yeah, I felt so grateful that I had that opportunity and I was able to do it. It meant a lot to me personally to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because our group, we all summited at the same time. It was
that
cool.
was so neat.
Yeah, and there was definitely a spirit about you. As we got to the boulder field, it was, you were like, okay, I did it. I know I did. It was right here.
I was like,
I know. Well, and it was funny. What color was your jacket again?
It was like a yellow.
Yeah.
Color.
Because I saw you. Eric's like, I think that's Sherry, because we had just gotten up and we're like, oh my gosh. And then we were all just like hugging, and it was just so exciting.
It was so cool that you guys waited for me. So that
it wasn't, it was like awesome. 10 minutes.
Like,
It wasn't
I know it wasn't very long, but still it was like, it was cool.
To do that together.
To do it together meant a lot. Yeah.
So then getting back down, just plan on, I don't know, hour, 2 hours on the way back. I can't.
3 for some of us.
Be.
It took a long time.
It was hard.
Yep.
It was hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of
Yes.
the last ones, I think,
It was-
coming down, but I didn't.
Well,
care.
you
It was
buddied up,
fine.
and so that was a good way
Yeah.
to kind of, and we did say that it's like, hey, let's make sure we're kind of staying together, and that was
Right.
helpful, and so that was nice.
But just to your point before, coming down, you think that, oh, I did the hard part, but coming down is equally as hard, and it's really hard on your knees, and that's not something that I even had on my radar
I don't
screen.
even know how you train. Well, we were doing it with the stairs,
And you
but-
have to concentrate. Like, this is not even
Oh,
terrain.
I slipped, remember?
And that was, oh
Yeah.
gosh, yes, we both
Thank
did.
God
but
it didn't hit my
it
head.
scared me. Your backpack saved your head.
did.
Yeah.
Because it was a little wet in areas.
Oh, it was
and-
like ice. Next thing you know, it's
Oh
like, whoop.
my gosh! So
It's
it is. I
horizontal.
think it's that. It's like you're physically tired, and then mentally
true.
you can't let up, and emotionally you are
Right.
mentally and emotionally
Right.
kind of like
you just want to be
So-
done.
so
and you're ready
here's-
to be done.
Right.
Here's
You're
the-
ready to be done.
Here's
Right.
the question: if there was a zip line from the top down, how much would you pay to ride it versus?
Ah. I'm not sure how I feel about zip lines,
I
but I
know.
didn't like
It
the
could
way
be a
my
very
knee felt
fast
either.
speed
Yeah.
when you get
No,
in.
it could be.
If I did it again,
don't
I'd
know.
definitely zip line down.
I think I would work
I
on
don't think there's
strengthening
gonna
my
be one,
knees, right? Like figuring out what exercises need to be done. To
I think the
get
thing we could have added
strength.
in was actually
that.
weights on, and doing squats with what to really build the leg strength. Or you know how you in the gym you can kind of lay in that thing and then push the
Oh, yeah,
thing up because you're at an angle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's called, but something like that would have been helpful. I think.
And I
It
think
would
we
not have
did
hurt
like
it.
squats, and we did some of those, but those isometric, like we were talking earlier, I think your quads and hammies and calves, and
It's
even
the hammies on the way
anterior-
down that you have,
Right.
and who does hammy stuff?
Yeah,
Right.
Like even when I'm biking, you're mostly quads unless you're
Right.
truly biking and pulling up with the backstroke, but most people aren't doing that.
So when you were doing the stairs, I noticed we were doing it different ways, right? Instead of just
Yes,
going straight
that's
up
true.
or straight down, you'd go sideways.
yeah,
And
that was good.
or you'd sidestep it or whatever. And I noticed going down when my knee was in a lot of pain, I would start sidestepping, and then I would switch. Like, okay,
Oh,
if
there
this
you
one
go.
hurts, then I would go down on the other one first. So,
Okay.
and I would just kind of
Yeah.
tweak it as I went. But
Yep.
sidestepping down was hugely helpful to relieve that.
That's a good point. So when
that
we would do
pain.
the stairs, we would do like someone leading would say singles and then doubles, then sideways. We sometimes would go backwards, sprint. Right, those I think were our options.
yeah. So that helped.
Yeah.
But I think just anything that you can do to make sure that those knees and the quads and the
Strong.
hamstrings are strong, I think to add that to a training protocol for this
agree.
kind of a hike is hugely helpful.
And I think you're like balance and some of that fine motor stuff
yeah.
because again,
Yeah.
it was just trickier, like some little rocks and big rocks and a slick place and water, a stream
Right.
that was
Well,
really
I know that's
wet.
what you were saying. It
And
was
we had to
bizarre.
go
We had a
through.
stream
It was. You
that
had
we
just
were
about
walking
everything,
through,
right?
like
Yeah.
at the top of the mountain.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's still
A little bit
thawing
of
out
everything.
in August.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Beautiful and fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is. It is a neat experience.
Yeah.
Did it change afterward? Did it change anything in you or about you? Or I think one thing, and you guys can all chime in, because I think the thing I heard a few people, so it'll be fun to hear them comment, was our body's amazing. I really appreciate my physical body that it was able to do something like this. And it makes you want to really take good care of this body and how much work it takes to maintain it.
Right.
True. Yeah. And confidence. I mean, it's a lot of confidence in yourself when you can do something like this.
For sure.
So,
Yep. Perseverance. A lot of these traits and characteristics that are really healthy for us.
and even in the training, like a lot of life things get in the way, right?
Right.
But you can train doing your life things just by putting your backpack on and going running around doing the things that you do. Or if you're brushing your teeth, stand on one foot for a while, or knee bends or
Right.
whatever. You can incorporate some of the training into the daily things that you do if you so choose to.
Yeah.
Which makes you stronger and helps with the stamina and everything else.
I know we try to hit one of these hikes every year as our family. And so I think it is good to kind of, these special challenges do kind of stretch us in new ways. And then to your point, Sherry, in the off time from that, you got to keep moving and get creative. Have fun with it, right? Stick your backpack on and just go for a hike up the street.
Well, it was fun. We had that group text going, and and we would keep each other motivated. We'd send pictures of what we were doing. We'd be on the steps, and somebody'd be like, I'm mowing or whatever. I'm working at my parents' house helping with something, or I've been raking all day, and somebody else was on a bike ride, and so it doesn't always have to be the same thing. But we were all, I think, very supportive, and that was really great.
So maybe do it with a group of buddies.
Right.
It was
That
smart.
helps. Yeah.
So our highlights are: you definitely should train.
Definitely should train.
If you're in our wisdom units of 50s. Do it with buddies is fun, right?
Right.
Anything else? Maybe it's that simple.
I think it's that simple.
I think it is.
I think you just pick a goal. I mean, if you put too much into knowing like the terrain and everything, you could freak yourself out and choose not to do it. So maybe if you know you want to do a hike and you know a little bit about the terrain, it's enough. And then if you get the physical exercise in so that you're capable of doing the journey, then that's what gets you through or even part of it.
So let's say there's someone who's like, I've always wanted to do it 14, or would you say Bierstadt's a good one to do?
It's a great beginning one too. I mean, we've done one other, but I think it was a great.
I've done a handful.
You've done many, and I just think it's attainable. It's and I think for many different levels of physical abilities, don't you?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So, any last words?
Well, I think back to what you were saying. Whatever that goal is, I think don't be afraid, right?
Right.
Like have some courage to just set a goal, and it doesn't have to be going and climbing a mountain. It could literally be, I want to do a hike. I want to, be involved in this 3K. I want to go visit somewhere that I've never done. But I think if there is this stirring in you, just do it.
Right.
And it's about the journey, like you said.
It's about the journey.
It's not about the end point.
Right.
It's how
and
you get yourself to
perfection
do it.
and like how fast you do it or how good you do it or how, I think
Just
those
do
are
it.
always blocks. Yeah.
Right.
Just do it.
And if you want to enjoy it, you might need to train a little bit. We did 3 months.
Right.
And then outside of that, just do it. Have fun. Well, thank you so much for coming in here and chatting with us and sharing your experience. It is so much fun to hang out with you. So here we are signing off. Hope you guys really enjoyed this. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye.